Hello and welcome to the second in my series of streams rebuilding the UI of the dashboard of WaniKani using Tailwind CSS. Today I'm going to pick up where we left off last week, which is with fairly little progress. We have this one section here, which is, I believe, the UI. Just going to double check what they refer to it as, because that would be useful. Because this is the review status section, which is practically done, give or take a few modifications. I think we need to get some colors correct. We need these borders in between the sections, and we need these icons. So the first thing I'm going to do, I think, is get the icons in. Bear with me 1 second. Have I got... Yes, I still have the project open. How about terminal window? Yes, I'm still in the terminal window as well. Okay, so actually before I do that, so I haven't committed since last week, so maybe if I just commit the changes that we've made so far, so represents each commit represents the what's been done per stream, I guess. Status, okay. Build review status, isn't it? Yeah, review status. Oh, I'll get better at remembering what I'm referring to things as, hopefully. Right, build review. Okay, so we've committed that. There's nowhere to push it to yet. I don't have any remote repository. I might think about getting one set up at some point, but not going to do that at the moment. So back to these icons. Right, last week I found that they were just basically font awesome icons. So I'm thinking for now what I'm going to do is just pull in a CDN version of font awesome and include them. Alright, font awesome CDN. There we go. Right. Well, I just think I've just got dashboard.php, dashboardblade.php. There we go. Alright. Missing href. Right, so I'm not expecting anything to change. And lo and behold, it hasn't changed. It has, however, sped up since last time. The local server seems to be running fine whilst streaming, so don't know what that's all about. Right, so I could just check source code of WaniKani to see which icons they use. Okay. Right, so icon time. this isn't loading in. What am I missing? Have they named it something else? Clock. Oh, okay. Because they have named it something else, but we're not going to. Right. Oh, that's in there. And inbox. Yeah, inbox. Yeah, and we have inbox. Right, so what are they doing with spacing? Are we... Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're just using the natural spacing, so that's probably fine. The font looks a bit lighter, but I don't know whether that's just the combination of the colour in the background. Alright. Well, we should get this background right, but before I do that, I think I'm just going to have a look at the borders, see if I can get that in there. Right. So what does it belong to? Right. So 1 hour, border right, border. Okay. So these two have a grey border right, and these two have a grey. These. Right, so the first one, I don't know. I'm pointing at it. The first one and the second one have a grey border on the right, and then the second one and the third one have a white border on the left. Right, what is our grey? So our D5, D5, D5. Tailwind, CSS. Alright, I'm going to use our grey light. I don't think we're using that for anything else yet. No. Okay, so call that. And to add the border on the right, you just do border R and then border grey. Alright, I think that should be everything we need for those two. That would help if I was refreshing my own project. Okay, so I've applied it to the wrong thing, which doesn't help. Okay, so... Cool, that did for that. We're not really going to see the white border yet, but if I add it now anyway. Let's double check that it is actually the white that yeah, just plain white, okay. That's an interesting question. How do we do different border colors on different sides? Let's consult the documentation. So there doesn't seem to be a way of setting a border color on the left that's different from the one on the right. I don't think so anyway. So this is a situation, like I'm thinking about this, I wonder whether this is an instance where it would make sense to maybe extract these into a component. So for now, if I go, no, not Tailwind.js. Right, so main CSS, what shall we call them? What do they call them? Right, so these ones don't, these ones are fairly unique. Maybe not. I was thinking that what I'd do is create a component for the wrapper of each of these elements that carries the border, but obviously we're not using none of them share a consistent border. Like two of them only have one border on one side and they're opposite sides, and then two of them, and then the one remaining one has two different borders on one side. So two different borders on each side. So it's probably not the best idea to do it that way. Okay. Alright. I think maybe just creating my own one-off utilities might actually be the way to go in that case. Alright, so border left color, border right color. Okay. So border left. Right. So actually at the end that add utilities. So right, so cursor help, border left white. Config colors.white, is it? I'm just going to double check this against the documentation because I'm not convinced I'm doing the right thing here. Adding new utilities. Okay, just so you know what I'm actually trying to do. Tailwind has a function that allows you to pull in a value that you defined in the configuration file into your own classes. So I'm just checking how the syntax works for doing that. I'm just randomly pressing things now. State variants, right. Colors, responsive design, state variants, adding new utilities. That's what I just looked at. Extracting components. No, it's not in here. Where is it? I'll just go back to where I was before, haven't I? Functions and directives. Apply. I think I might be on the right track now. Variants, responsive, screen, config. Okay, so I am right. Colors, white colors. Okay, so that should do the job, actually. Border left, white. Alright, so border R. So if I give this border X and border left white, and if I give this border L and border white. Okay. What am I missing now? Border grey light, border grey light, border X, border grey light. Missing something. Is there not a border X? Alright, that gets all the borders in. I don't know why we're missing the white on here. I do know why we're missing it, because I'm not actually compiling anything. And now it should be working. But it doesn't seem to be. Do I need to do a hard refresh? No. Maybe I'm not on the right track. Border left white. No, so it's not compiled still. I don't know if that's because it's not updating it, or whether it's because I have not done something right. Right. Try saving the CSS again. So it has compiled successfully. App, no, not app. Public CSS, main CSS. Why do I have an app CSS file? Oh, that was the one that Laravel came with. Okay, so border. So border left white does exist in here. So, maybe. Do another hard reload, but it's not working. Border left white. Border left. Oh, I have a colon. There we go. This is the authentic programming experience, having something that doesn't work turn out to be some random bit of punctuation that you didn't even realize you'd inserted into it. Okay, so that is those in place. We may need some more padding. Let me just double check. Yeah, so how much padding have we got here? Okay. Padding 22.5 pixels. Believe like the one rem represents 16 pixels in here, so if we just double check, see whether we have any utilities that work for that. Alright, here we go. Padding 1.25 rem. Right, so 16. So padding 4 would be 16 pixels. Padding 6, let's just go for padding 6 for now. Let's see how it works. Where does that get us? Padding. Alright, so it's a bit more than we ideally would have wanted, but you know, I'm just going to run with it. I think this is good enough. Okay. So now if we take a look at this background color, I think I already know that this isn't actually a color. You probably can't see it on the stream, but there is like a slight pattern to the background. So let's just see what it's. Okay, so belongs to the body. All right, to begin with, we have this. It does have a background color of sorts. So if we start off with that, all right, so that uses E. Tailwind. Grey. Right. I'm going to commandeer grey lighter for this, and then just on the body we will add a colour, background colour any. In fact, let's just reorganize these a bit so there's alphabetized. Alright, that's better. But I'm going to add the background pattern as well. Downloads, no. Code. Okay. Get a look at some of my other projects here. It's WaniKani. Public. Okay. Alright, let's rename it something else. Alright, I'm just going to create my own class for that as well. And again, you can't actually see it, but that subtle texture is now in place. Right. So which section do we next? I think we got two choices. We can either move on and go back to doing the header, or we can add this section. I'm leaning towards the header, I think. Alright, navbar. So this is static, but I think I'm just going to build it as part of the page flow for now. No, you know what? I'm going to build it static. I'm not going to shrink it, but I am going to have it be static so we can show how adding static elements in Tailwind works out. Alright, so do I use a header tag? No, I won't do. Static. Alright, so first off, to make it statically positioned, you just add a class of static and then pin T, pin X. So pin T will pin it to the top of the screen, and pin X will pin it to the left and the right of the screen. So it's sort of like position static, top 0, left 0, right 0. Obviously we don't see anything unless we have some content. So this is some content for now. Alright, there we go. Is that correct? I'm being incredibly dumb. When I say static, what I mean is fixed. So how is this working then? So it's position static in this form, and then it moves to position fixed when it shrinks down. Okay, so I will build it static in that case. So let's give you a white background. And some content still. Okay, so white background is a start. And then we have, do we have padding? Not padding, margin, what am I talking about? So no, it doesn't have margin, but it does have this subtle shadow underneath. Okay, so box shadow 1px, 10px. Right, there are some shadows that come with Tailwind, but I'm just going to double check what they are. Shadows. Right. So it has this small shadow and this large shadow, but neither of them are really what we want. So I'm just going to create a new one and call it bottom. Right. Let's take you. Shadowed bottom. And is it in place? I think it is. Shadowed bottom. Doesn't look like it is. What have I done wrong here? Do I have to activate shadows? Shadows response. So no, they are active. What I've done wrong is completely ignored the fact that npm stopped running and my assets weren't compiling. Alright, there we go. Right, so that's there. So I need to, next thing I need to do is get these circles in. If I start off with, what should I start off with? Right, these are basically the same concept. So if I start with these, or if I just if I get an unordered list in here first, and it gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Okay, so that's a start. And alright, so we do actually need a container as well. You know what? I might just make the list itself the container. C D E F G H K L M. And then there we go. So that's contained. Now, next thing I do, I think, will be to add one of these circles. So the border color is 999. Okay. Where does that fit with our grays? So it's actually quite a strong grey compared to the ones we've got at the moment. It's actually, I don't know, what am I talking about? It's a grey dark. That's where we're going with this, I think. Grey dark, change that to 999. And then okay, border grey dark. Rounded full, so that will give us a circle, but it probably got a tiny little circle. All right, so what's the width of this border then? So 0.3 m. Right, how does that work? What have we got? So all of our borders are actually pixel borders. Before I go changing that, let's just see what it works out as computed. Okay, so 418. So if we say that's 4, okay, so border 4. Right. That's start. Still looks fairly tight. Still looks smaller than you'd expect it to be, though. So let's see what we're doing dimensions wise, because we're going to want to have like an actual manual height and width on these, I think. So 57.38 pixels by 57.38. Okay, and how is that set? All right, so 3.5 m. So what have we got? We actually don't have 3.5, but we have but we have 2.5, 3, 4. Okay, so if I add in like what we have at the moment is like a scale of heights going from like height 1 is 0.25 rem. And then it's kind of like increases based on that scale. So 2 is 0.5, 3 is 0.75, 4 is 1, and then you skip up to 6, which is 1.5. So like all of these are assigned a number based on the idea that 1 is 0.25. So all we need to do for this is to add 14 rem and not 14 rem, 14 and then 3.5 rem, and the same for width, which is up here. And that will leave us with, what file am I working with? Alright, okay, so div. There we go. That is looking pretty nice. Right, let's get a number in this. Right, so I know that this is not going to be aligned the way I want it, so I'll just, before I even look at it, I'm gonna try and get it centered. Okay, so flex sets the display to be flex, and I think item center should do it. Item center, and okay, I believe. And then if I set text center as well. No. Okay, so justify center. Yeah, that is the job. All right. And let's see what we're doing. So I think we're using the same color for the text. So text gray dark. Okay, that will do. Alright, we're missing shadows, but and we're also not. We also don't have hover state for it yet. We'll solve that later. Okay, so this is kind of the section for levels. So if we add 4 more, if I move this to not 4 more, yeah, 3 more. If I move this here, remove this, and then add 3 more, because they're roughly the same style. Okay. Okay, so Bushu Kanji Tango. Okay. Not sure how this is going to look because I've only set the fonts for Western text. So yeah, the kanji looks a bit off compared to the font that they use. Actually, that's the point. I haven't actually set the font size either, so that might be all that's wrong. Right. Okay. So font size is 14 pixels. Font size is 14 pixels. What is it for? Alright, so it's 14 pixels for everything. So if I just put it on here, just double check what our font sizes actually work out as. It would help if I set my text input back to British. Okay. Oh, it's text size, isn't it? Text size. Okay, so text small is what we're going for. Does this do the job? Yeah, I think it maybe does. I reckon we're good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Again, I haven't done anything about the shadow or the hover states, but if I continue on for now, okay, so these two we'll tackle next. Alright, so lessons and reviews. Alright, so if I just copy this one over first. Alright, let's just distinguish them. All of the items that have numbers on it, which represent sort of like different things that I have available to do at any given time, they cap out as how they display at 42. So they'll show like 42 plus, which I'm assuming is like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference there. Alright, 42 plus 9, 14. So, and then I think we have, with this background color, we have a radial gradient going on, which we're going to have to create for ourselves. They don't have like just a default one. It's all vendor prefixes, but I suspect that this exists. If I say I suspect this exists. Stop being able to talk. I say I suspect this exists. I'm actually looking at the MDN entry for it now. So radial gradient does exist. I'm hoping that I can just take it straight to there. Okay, circular center. No, I don't want to copy this. Okay, so the syntax is slightly different. I don't think we're going to be using any other radial gradients, so if I just use it as is, that's a background image radial gradient, circular center. Right. So what colors are they using? Right, 6F, 6F, 6F. And 555. and it would help if I actually added it. This looks a bit more intense than I was hoping for. And the idea is there, but I just wonder what is going on with it. Oh, because it's got a hover state one. So if I copied the wrong thing. I have, right. Main CSS is where I want. No, not that main CSS. Okay, so that's that. And then it just has text white as well. Right. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's several items in there. So I think the next thing I'm going to look at is getting the text underneath them. It should be simple. Right. Okay. So if I do text grey dark to the whole area. Yeah, okay, so that's the text in there. I imagine these ones that have chevrons, it's probably just font awesome again. So if I do that. Yeah, that'll do the job. Okay. Right. And okay, so we've got some spacing. These have a border beneath them of, not border, what am I talking about? Margin beneath them. Margin bottom 0.5 m, so that should be MB2. MB2. MB2, 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 MB2. There we go. And they also have margin between them. They have margin between the. They have. Right, so they have margin on the actual circle. So what's that? Margin left auto. Okay, so this has Okay, so the container has a width. Does it? Okay. Width 8.2 m. Okay. I'm just going to go with W32 on all of them, which will give them 8 rem. Okay. Right, reload my own thing. Alright, I think I've made it too wide. No, I'm good. Alright, and then these need MX Auto. MX Auto, MX Auto, MX Auto, MX Auto, MX Auto, MX Auto. There we go. Okay. Alright, so it's getting just about time to wrap up. So before I go, let's just add this spacing to the top and bottom. So where does that live? So these have got a link on them, which seems to have padding on top and bottom. I'm not going to give it to that. I'm going to give it to, because I don't have that. I'm going to give it to the list item for now. Where are we? Right. Padding top and bottom. So it works out as 20 pixels. Alright, well, we don't have that, but I'm just going to give it the closest we've got, which is P6. There we go. Okay, so we've gone from having just the review status text in place to having the whole of the review status text, including the icons, the correct background, and now we have most of the navbar in place as well. I'm going to pick this up again next week, where we finish up the navbar, and then I think maybe move on to the search. Yeah, this search bar. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Goodbye.